I'd like to call the March 5th Davie County School Board meeting to session. And the first item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda, and I will make one modification. Under the consent agenda, we will move the item D, Finance Audit Contract, move that out to a business item, and we'll put that as C under the business item. So I will entertain a motion with that correction or addition. Have a motion, Colonel Hales. Have a second by Lori Smith. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next item on the agenda is closed session. And I am not prepared.
Motion moved into closed session to discuss attorney-client privilege and to preserve confidential personnel information protected by state law, is my guess. Got anything to do besides personnel? There you go.
I have a motion, Mr. Potts, have a second by Mr. Drexler. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. We're in closed session. I'd like to reconvene the Davie County School Board meeting of March 5th, 2019. Let's see. Before I get started, I'd like to call the attention, if you have a printed out agenda, there is one minor adjustment to the agenda. Under the consent agenda, item D, Finance Audit Contract, was moved out to a business item. And that would be item C, if I remember when I get there. So, beyond that, first item on the agenda is our invocation. Loving and gracious God, we thank you today for all your blessings, for all the successful outcomes of our school events, and for all our staff members. We ask that you bless them abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations, and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in us. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is right and good. Keep us from short-sightedness and pettiness. Help us to make decisions that are good for the good of all, and guard us from blind self-interest. The Lord, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. Amen. Next item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance, led by Boy Scouts Troop 575.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. The Pack of One. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from February 5th meeting and also February 5th special called meeting. Have a motion by Mr. Carroll. Have a second? Second by Colonel Hales. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next, important dates calendar, and I'll try to scan this real quick. March 11th, Board of Education Parent Advisory Council meeting at Pinebrook Elementary School at 5:30. It's on Monday. March 13th, Board of Education lunch at William Ellis. And a little thing called spring break is coming up. March 25th through the 29th. Incredible. And then we are back in here on April the 2nd. All right. Next, I will turn it over to the superintendent, to Dr. Steed, for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had intended, and I have some other things that I will speak to later, but because of the nature of the number of people we have to recognize tonight, I'm going to cut out some of the things I was going to give in my report. So we have a couple of things we wanted to bring out. I would tell you that I continue to enjoy being your, being your superintendent. As I look at the calendar each day, I sort of count off the days like the students count them off too. But there'll be another person sitting in this chair before too much longer. But I do say to the board and to you, I do appreciate the support and appreciate the confidence that, that you have in me. I think the community needs to really appreciate and feel good about the people we have in the positions of leadership in the school system, the administrators, the staff at the district office, and certainly not least all of our teaching staff. They do a tremendous job every day. So I would like to thank them for the work that they do, and look forward to the completion of the rest of the school year. Thank you.
Our next item is agendas and recognitions. Coming up, the first one is the P-TECH Signature School, and I'll turn it over to Agenda Haynes.
As a member of the Piedmont Triad Education Consortium, what we normally call P-TECH, we are able to nominate one school per year for an award that's called our P-TECH Signature School. Each school award is based upon improvements in student achievement, innovative practices or widespread positive change, dedication of both students and staff, and parent involvement and community engagement. And this year, Coulomb Elementary was selected as our P-TECH Signature School and was recognized at an awards breakfast last Friday. We want to thank the board members who were able to attend with Dr. Steed and a small leadership team from Coulomb. As we share a short video that was shared Friday to highlight Coulomb Elementary at that breakfast, I would like for Coulomb Elementary staff to stand. I think they're mostly on the back row. And Cindy Stone, principal, and Sam Brown to come up front, please.
What makes Coulomb special is we have teachers that are passionate about the students here. We work hard to give an individual plan for each student in small group. We meet each week to help students be successful. I know each day the teachers have small group, so that way the students can come back and they can get that one-on-one time with the teacher and really start to shine in the classroom.
All right, I'm going to ask that they remain standing for just a few comments and one other video. 75% of the students at Coulomb Elementary are economically disadvantaged, but that does not stand in their way. That does not stand in the way of students or staff. And so when I think about Coulomb staff and the little bit of time that I've had the opportunity to be on that campus and to observe these folks, these are the words that I think about when I think about Coulomb teachers. Dedicated, passionate, intentional, strategic leadership, and most of all, growth mindset. So as these folks celebrate success, they are always looking for how they can further improve. So they really stand out. We have another video to share that's kind of unusual to have at the board meeting, but last fall, Lieutenant Governor Forrest came to visit Coulomb and to learn what really makes a difference at Coulomb Elementary. And since then, his staff returned to produce a video. And this just came out last week, and so we also want to share that tonight.
As I travel throughout the state, I always make it a point to check out the unique success stories coming out of our public schools. One such visit I recently had was at Coulomb Elementary in Davie County. Only a short time ago, this elementary school, as one of the parents told me, was the school you tried to get your students out of. Now, it's the school every parent in the district wants to enroll their child in. What has changed over the past few years, you might ask? The culture and leadership of the school. As soon as you walk into this school, you recognize the love and compassion and drive the administrators and teachers have in educating these students. Coulomb's approach is that each student has their own unique abilities, and the school sets up individual plans to maximize each student's potential. And what they are doing is working. Coulomb is in the top 4% in North Carolina elementary schools for growth, a true testament to the leadership and vision set by the principal and administrators, and the effectiveness of the teachers to implement the audacious plan to focus on each individual student. Wow. Coulomb is a prime example of what can be done at any public school if you have a strong leadership from top to bottom. I'll let Coulomb Elementary take it from here so you can hear firsthand from these incredible educators.
Welcome to Coulomb Elementary School!
The atmosphere at the school is so welcoming.
We find every opportunity to celebrate students.
We have all kinds of things going on across the school that really make a difference in individual lives of kids.
Having 2 kids in school here, it seems like that each kid gets their opportunity to continue growing. One may not be grade level, but they continue to grow at their pace and continue to just go into the next step. And then you may have one that's above grade level and they continue to grow even more than their grade level.
The staff themselves are a family. They work together. They love being together and having social time together, but they take that into their classrooms as well. They build classroom communities that love and respond with each other.
It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have a failure, because from that failure, you'll learn from that and grow into that.
I think primarily because we've had more of a common focus that everybody in the school is working to make sure that every child receives a grade level curriculum, but also is taught at their level and gets both sides of that.
That means I'm reading, and I'm reading all the time, and that helps them not on their own learning.
Everybody feels comfortable to say, hey, you're doing a great job with that. Can you show me how you do that? And we go in and we learn from each other.
She jumped up out of her seat here in my small group and she said, I got it, I can count by 5s. And the rest of the class heard her and erupted in cheers. So we're a classroom of an environment that is supportive of each other. We're not making fun of each other when we don't understand something. Everyone's in a different spot. And how can we grow you from that spot and celebrate those successes along the way?
If a student is struggling, just transitioning from math class to reading class in 3rd grade and having a hard time with just a movement transition, they might go visit a kindergarten teacher and feel better and tutor a younger child to make their own confidence grow.
We can pull in certain kids that need that extra intervention in phonics, comprehension, fluency, and each of their lessons are tailored to them. And they see feedback, instant feedback every single day. If they miss a word, we go over it right then and we talk about it instead of missing it, checking it, and giving it to them the next day.
There are ideas all throughout the building that help kids feel loved, feel growth, just knowing their name. Mr. Brown shaking their hand when they get off the bus in the morning, greeting their teacher when they walk in the door to the school, having Miss Blackwelder say hello at car rider in the morning. So if they've had a bad morning at home, they come in and get that day turned around.
And it's top down. Everybody has the same common purpose. We're going to love our students. We show them that we love them. They know that we love them. And we know that they can grow.
So at this time, we want to congratulate Coulomb Elementary School staff. I have to say, we all know that it takes a village, and boy, what a village you are. Thank you for all you do.
Chairman Junker, Dr. Steed, and staff, I just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to represent Davie County. I know that I'm very humbled by this video. I'm very honored and proud of my staff, the ones who joined us tonight and the other ones still in the building. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing here in Davie County. What you saw in that video, a lot of it is Davie Leads taking place, the PLCs that they talked about learning and growing, starting out with growth mindsets. So what you're feeding in and what you're supporting here in Davie County is just what we're taking root in at Coulomb. So thank you for supporting us.
I will add one more thing, just because I was there this morning for a 7 o'clock meeting, and I got there early, so I was just sitting in my truck. And they are a family. Within about 10 minutes, I was sitting there, and 2 bus drivers came over and asked me what I was doing there. I had to roll down the window. I said, "Oh, I'm Davie County School Board." "Oh, okay. We just want to make sure." And was apologetic. I said, "No, it's absolutely, but it's an incredible culture, and I guess maybe a good judge of character. I don't know, but." So thank you. Next recognition, turn it back to Jenda for spelling bee winners.
Okay. All right, as we recognize our spelling bee winners tonight, we're going to wipe our tears. We're going to have a little fun just a second. I want to challenge the board members in their spelling skills. Okay, so you see the image here. The winning word this year was boudoir. It is a noun of French origin, meaning a woman's dressing room, bedroom, or private sitting room. Can you spell boudoir?
R-O-O-M.
I have to say, when we had our district spelling bee this year, this room was packed. We had a better crowd than ever for this event. We can literally say that our spelling bee went from 0 to 51 because the very first word of the spelling bee was literally 0. There were 51 words that we went through in the process. There were 16 rounds, but it went extremely smoothly. No tiebreakers. So it was actually pretty fast as we went through that. Tonight we want to congratulate all of our elementary school and middle school winners, and you see them pictured here. They should all be proud of their accomplishments, but we're going to recognize our top 3 winners tonight, our first, second, and third place district winners, and ask them to come forward as their names are called. So as our third place winner, we have Porter Spann, and he is a 4th grader at Pine Brook Elementary School, and he is the son of Nolan and Jennifer Spann. As our second place winner, we have Amber McCullough. She is an 8th grader at William Ellis Middle School, the daughter of Brad and Dawn McCullough. And Amber's been in our district spelling bee for many years in a row and was our second place winner last year. And our first place winner was Reagan Edson, and I've been told that she couldn't be here tonight, but she's an 8th grader at South Davie Middle School, the daughter of Michael and Patty Edson. This is Reagan's 3rd straight year winning our district spelling bee, and last year she went to the national spelling bee to represent Davie County. So we want to congratulate all 3 of these fine folks. And we want to congratulate Reagan and wish her the best as she goes on to represent us in the regionals on March 24th. We also want to give a special shout out of thanks to our sponsors. You'll see them listed here: Venezia's, Davie County Enterprise, BB&T, Hillsdale Dental, and Moxville Women's Club. So thank you and congratulations.
Congratulations. Next, Junior Beta Club 2019 State Convention, and Tanya Kerr.
Chairman Junker, Dr. Steed, Mr. Wallace, board members, I'm so happy to be here tonight to honor one of North Davie's own. So she'll come up here. She's sitting right behind me. Our North Davie Junior Beta Club traveled to Greensboro early February, and students while we were there participated in all kinds of competitions, from arts and crafts to talent to academic competitions. And one of those academic competitions was 7th grade language arts, and Bonnie Jo Taylor received the first place recognition for that, which was a very huge achievement, and very proud to honor her tonight and to say thank you for her hard work and effort. And I'm privileged to have her in class also, where she's an amazing young lady. So I want to honor her tonight.
Next, we'll turn it over to Jeff Wallace and Coach Absher for the Davie County Cheerleaders.
Chairman Junker, board, guest, it's again an honor and an opportunity to stand here before you tonight and to recognize some of our fine students and to recognize some of our adults and our coaches and our teachers, our staff that are with us. And I'd like to ask Coach Absher, Mike Absher, if he will. All right. I missed him. To come up and share, but he's getting ready to mention some recognitions, and the thing that comes to mind is we have some consistency here, for sure, and with our cheerleading program consistently performing. And folks, I want you to understand, whatever event you're involved in, whether you're a fisherman, an artist, or whatever, if you win at something 900 times, just fathom the number, 900 competitions. Buddy Lowry has won over 900 times through the years. Now, I'm going to let Mike elaborate a little bit more, but here's what I want you to hear. I said consistency. I will call Coach Lowry every now and then, not often. Coach, what? That's what I get every time. It doesn't matter from the first time we met when I called him until I called him about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I said, Coach, what? Good to see you, Coach. Hope you're doing well. So here's what I got to say. Okay. But anyway, it's an honor to stand here, just to be a part of, and this man being a part of our county and being with us, and obviously both being, and him and Coach Stage being fine educators. And boy, we should be absolutely honored and privileged to have people like that, just to be a part of around our students. So Coach Absher, if you will, I'll let you share some things, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Wallace, Dr. Steed, school board, special guests. At this time, I would like for Coach Stage and her team to come on up to the front here, and we'll share some things about this wonderful group. I'm going to start with an individual award that Coach Stage was recognized this year. And to follow up with what Mr. Wallace said, what an honor it is for me as the athletic director to stand here tonight. And, you know, sometimes we don't hear enough of the good stuff and in this education world that we all live and work in. But these are the fun times. And I want to share one quick story with Angie about Angie before I give her her award, and then before we talk about her team. About 10 years ago, when I walked into this AD position, I called the High School Association regularly, 2 or 3 times a day, because I really didn't know what was going on, and I was convinced I was going to break a rule or something. And one day I had, and Dr. Steed will know who this is, a person who is retired from the High School Association, Carolyn Shannonhouse. And she said, "Mike, do you have an extra minute?" And I said, "Sure." And she said, "I just want you to know, you may not realize this, and I know you're just starting as athletic director at the high school, how wonderful your head coach is." She said, "When they come here to compete and perform, there's definitely not a group in this state that's better prepared or that handle themselves the way her young ladies do." So that's the type of person we have leading our cheerleading program. Very excited. I hope she'll stay here for a while. But this year, she was honored as the North Carolina Coach of the Year for Girls Spirit. What an accomplishment. Yes, please give her a nice round of applause. That award comes from the National Federation of Coaches Association, and if you know much about high school sports, that group out in Indianapolis drives a lot of things that are done throughout the country. So what an honor, and again, I congratulate Angie for that award. And now moving on to her team. Good turnout tonight for these young ladies, and we're glad that they're all here. 2018 North Carolina High School Athletic Association state champions. They were 5th at nationals this year in Orlando, 2nd in the world championships, and 5th in game day championships. Please give this group a nice round of applause and congratulations. Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. They were not all able to attend tonight because they are very busy children. So this is just a part of the group that was able to attend, but we had a new challenge this year and went into a new division, and they took it head on. We didn't have a routine until probably September or October, even though we had done choreography in August. So we changed divisions multiple times this year. So we went back into the all-girl division. So to go into finals, they went straight to finals from prelims, which is unheard of whenever you go into a new division, number one. And then number two, they were in first place by a lot. So we didn't get as much practice as the other teams to be able to take on the semifinal round before we went straight to finals. But this group is, they're amazing. I don't want to tell them that they have to turn in their uniform because I don't want the season to end. But you have to turn in your uniform. So those that could attend tonight, do you guys want to walk across and I'll say your name? Yeah, go. This is Anna Smith. Do the beauty wave. Maddie Shaver. Carly Wall. Ava Bandy. I can't say this one without crying. Emma Hicks. I can't say goodbye to my seniors. Tatum Davis. Maddie Shore. Reese Latham. Elizabeth Dorset. Another one I can't say goodbye to. Abby Hurt. Kennedy Wise. Maddie Kay. I can't say her last name because I always say it wrong. Mary Kate Rowland. Tiffany Beatty. Abby Hicks. And my only boy that can make it tonight because he didn't have something else to do, Nick Childs. That's it.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations, ladies.
Yeah, I noticed she didn't ask for any participation for you to try anything.
Now at this time, if I could have Coach Lowry and his 2018-19 CPC champions, if they could come up to the front, that'd be great. Again, what an honor it is to be able to recognize Coach Lowry for some individual accomplishments and also this year's wrestling team. I'm going to start with Coach Lowry. You know, this is a real long resume right here, real long. And I'm gonna give you some of the highlights off of it, and then I'm going to add a little bit to it at the end. But Mr. Wallace is right. Coach Lowry's overall record at Davie High School, 43 years. He's been at Davie County High School. 913 wins, 136 losses, and 2 ties. It's an 86.9 winning percentage. He has 17 regional championships, 2 dual team state championships, 1 state individual championship. He's coached 15 individual state champions. He's coached 44 wrestlers who have won 100+ matches during their career at Davie County High School. 43 years. I've been here for 17. My first year at Davie County High School, Coach Lowry and I were talking one day, and I told him then the fact that he had been at one school for that long period of time is almost unheard of. Even on the high school level, most coaches are jumping and looking for the next job. And that man has dedicated his life to this place. To me, that is tremendous, and it's just one of the many reasons that I have the respect for him that I do. The second thing, Coach Lowry does it the right way. And you can't say that about every high school in our area. Coach Lowry coaches the young men that come through our doors on August 25th or whatever. He doesn't go out and seek other people. He coaches those young men that we come to our school. And in a day and time when we've lost perspective on winning, in my opinion, he's continued to do it the right way. And that's another reason why I have so much respect for this man. So, Coach, congratulations on all of your accomplishments. And let's give Coach Lowry a nice round of applause. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Now we'll turn our attention to the team and some individuals. This year's team was 32-3. As I've already mentioned, they were the conference champions. They were the runner-up in the 4A Midwest Regional Tournament, which we hosted for the first time at Davie County High School. They advanced to the 3rd round of the dual team tournament and lost to the eventual state champion, Northwest Guilford, by 2 points. And I can't tell you, and as me and Mr. Nicholson went and watched some of the state individual, it's such an honor to watch these young men compete. So at this time, let's give this team right here a nice round of applause for their conference championship and their accomplishments for this year. I would like to add, again, this was the first year that we hosted the regional tournament. And as y'all know, I'm also the head basketball coach, and that was it's kind of busy for me during that time of year. But Perry Long, who is also here tonight, was tremendous in putting that event on. And we all went to Chapel Hill. We all sat and learned a lot of different things. And Glenn High School was a big help to us through the process. But I'd also like to just take a minute to thank Coach Long for his tireless hours that he put into us hosting that event. Coach Long. We have 3 individuals that we'd like to recognize. And the first one is Matthew King. In the regional tournament, he was the runner-up, and he went on to the state championships and finished 4th place overall in the state. Matthew King. Our next young man is Andy Flores, also runner-up in the regional tournament, and then finished 3rd place in the state tournament. Andy Flores. Last individual we'd like to recognize is Jesus Almeida, who was the 4A regional tournament champion and was the MVP of the Midwest Regional Tournament, and was runner-up in the state championship. Jose, where's he at, buddy? Appreciate the time that you've given us tonight and the opportunity to recognize these outstanding coaches and these student athletes. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, guys. Not changed.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's only one. There's only one. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda and reminder of the one item D being pulled out, but entertain a motion. Have a motion by Ms. Smith, have a second by Colonel Hills. Is there any discussion? Consent agenda. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Business items. The first item is the BOE contract, and I will turn that over to Jeff Wallace.
Thank you, Chairman Junker. Board, coming to you again as I did in September, this is our 3rd contract from WYVETI this year. And if you recall, we sign a contract with WYVETI each year. They transport some of our students that are with particular needs. And for the last few years, we've operated $1.85 a mile. That was the contract you approved in August. I came to you in September after being approached by the leadership at WYVETI and saying they needed to increase their cost to $2.02 a mile. We approved that one, adjusted our budget, and in February 14th, they came to us. We had another meeting with them and their financial director, saying that they had to increase their mileage again to $2.75. I will say that I was absolutely not happy. We contested that. It was a very respectful meeting, but frankly, Board, we have no options, not many options, especially this abruptly. We went back and forth, again, a very cordial meeting. Dr. Steed provided a lot of insight. Ms. Naylor provided a lot of insight. Ms. Custer, Jeremy Miller, our Director of Transportation. And as I shared with you in September, we have started looking at other ways to provide the transportation for our students in special needs. We have in our capital outlay budget, we've planned to we're considering purchasing 2 vans. 2 vans will not be enough. but that would potentially get us started. I know Mr. Miller's working with his staff about some other means of transportation. We've met with other organizations, 2 different organizations, and we have meetings set up, scheduled for the spring to look at potential other options for next year. I will be glad to try to entertain any questions that you have. But the contracts are there, and the $2.75, if approved by the board tonight, will take effect on March the 18th, moving forward for the rest of this school year.
Is there consistency in the need from year to year, or is that part of the issue as well?
Is there consistency?
With the need?
There is, and typically what we do, we try to project each year. But the EC department and transportation department sits down and we look at the children's needs. And a lot of our children that need this type of transportation can stay with us until they're 21 years old and have special situations and monitors and those things. But we can be pretty consistent. We do project our costs based upon the miles from the previous year or the past 3 years. There is some consistency, yes, sir. And our number of routes stay pretty close to the same, anywhere 8, 9, or 10 routes. Yes, sir.
I have no way to contest this, as you, and it just irritates us, I think, as a group, when you have to pay something because there's no other options out there available, and I'm glad to hear you're trying to find others. What are we currently reimbursing when we have some very good parents who say, I'll transport my child? What do we reimburse them? I'm sorry?
That's actually prescribed by federal law. They get reimbursed the federal rate if they choose to.
And what is that at right?
I couldn't tell you, 45 cents or
45,
so. Yeah.
45 cents a mile.
Okay. Does that have any option to it at all to discuss how we may encourage a parent to do that? If we require a parent to do that? I understand.
So that's the issue. Parents who choose to do
Sure.
that, but you can't require it.
Right.
So it's not a reliable option for the school system because parents can choose not to.
Mr. Potts, to your question, I will tell you over the last 6 to 8 months, because we've been in this situation, we have been very careful not to just say, well, we'll just pay you to transport your child, or we'll just put you on, or we can just work it out and put in their IEP plan or one of their goals, or not goals, but one of their plans that they will just be, YVEDI will transport them. That has to go through multiple layers before it's approved now because of the significant increase in the cost. And it's just a better handle on what we're doing in our budgeting. Yes, sir. But to your point, I was very frustrated. But this is where we are, but we are, again, pursuing other avenues. And Mr. Miller is working with, he's speaking he's been on, matter of fact, he's on the phone today with DPI and has spoken with a former Derek Graham. You probably know Mr. Graham. Jeremy has spoken with him recently. And so we're reaching out to most everywhere we know to reach out to try to reduce this cost, but at the same time, provide the quality and provide what our children need. And to your point, we don't have a choice.
Mr. Wallace, I got a question. Can you give the board, or at least me, some kind of numbers of how many children we transfer or transport per day?
Mr. Miller, I know there are 10 routes and it's about 8 to 10 kids each.
Transport with
60?
YVEDI.
Okay.
And some of that may be homeless or pre-K students as well.
Okay. Approximately how many miles do they travel per day?
In 2017-18, which we projected on, was 160, I don't have it per day, but we can do the math here, but our total was 163,048 miles. And I'd say we could just divide that by 180, Tammy, would be what we would do, right, Jeremy?
9,000 or so a year.
About 95?
905.
Oh, 905.
Per day.
Per day. And in talking about some budget surprises, Tammy has done a projection, and Tammy, help me if I'm, going from the $1.85 a mile, now just YVEDI, Our projected cost was going to be $301,000, just almost $302,000 a year. Projecting next year in 1920, if we use the same $2.75 now the new cost, it will go from 301 or 302 to almost 450,000. That's almost $150,000 increase.
We got to find something, some way. This is just not going to work.
Colonel Hales, you're spot on, and we're trying. I do want you to know, we're really trying.
Is that
You're
mostly
exactly
from
right.
Transportation funds or EC funds or a combination, wherever Tammy can find it, or how do you?
It has to come out of transportation, and so, you know, and when we run out of state transportation money, then we have to support that locally. But the transportation cost is a part of the transportation budget, not the EC budget.
Right. I was going to, there are certain children that require monitors, and our contract that we agreed upon in September was that monitors, that contract was not to exceed $65,000, which was still an increase over last year.
Did they say what their rationale was to increase this such a big number? Just all of a sudden?
Just operating expense. Well, they're Robert Seibert. He was their financial director, and he said there were some insurance changes that started taking place in 2014. And it kind of rolled up on them, and they had hoped that there would be some help from DOT to not prevent this sudden change. Now, I'm not explaining that nearly as good as he did, but he said they foresaw this coming to some degree. Well, then I said, well, why are you going up 90 cents in 1 year and 3-4 months on Davie County Schools? He didn't really have an answer. But it's something to do with Medicaid and how it's paid back and those types of things. And I don't have a real good answer for you, Lori. But that he just said it had something to do with insurance changes and how the money used to come to them early, and then they would project out because they knew the money they had. And now the money's being distributed out to insurance companies. They're kind of the holder of the funds. And then their distribution is later and not beforehand. Tammy? Okay. And that's what, I'm going from memory there, but that's what he told us.
And they serve Stokes and Yadkin with the exceptional children's population as well?
Yes, sir. And my understanding, and Dr. Steed, you might can help me out here, I believe that our local DSS services has gone away from Waveti and now using Cape Fear. I do believe. But I know they've lost some customers.
It's very interesting.
And I will say Cape Fear is one that Cape Fear does provide some services for us. They're a little more expensive, but our McKinney-Vento, or a lot of times our homeless children, we would call on Cape Fear because they're a little bit more flexible. It can be, but we're only talking a handful of children sometimes in those cases, homeless cases.
The equipment to service us at this time. Cape Fear doesn't.
Yeah.
We'd pretty much have to guarantee them the job for 2019, 2020, for them to add the staff and vehicles that they would need. And their price increase, he said, was good until June of this year, but it would go up too. It would be increasing.
Their current charge to us is $2.42 a mile. We met with the owner of the company this past year, late summer, I believe it was.
In September, I believe.
Okay, and we asked him about picking up our services, and he's not equipped to, as Mr. Miller said, but he said he would honor the $2.42 at that time for us for the remainder of this year.
Are you going to be looking at a cost analysis of, okay, if we buy cars and we employ somebody, we need X amount of cars, and this is how many people we got to employ? Have we done a cost analysis on that?
We are just beginning, Mr. Hales, and to your very point, even if we purchase 2 vans for next year, we're going to have 2 drivers and 2 monitors.
Right.
And then that's additional cost. We struggle tremendously with finding bus drivers now.
Yeah.
So we're in a similar we got to
thinking about
balance that. You're
volunteering.
exactly right. We got to
Just to help
balance
out.
that.
I'm available, call me.
Okay.
God, gee. Lord.
I will say, we are looking at transporting EC on yellow buses. Now, that would be a culture shock to Davie County. Like I said, some of these students are over 20 years old, and this would be the first time in their life that they'd be picked up with a yellow bus, so that could be some shock for those students. But right now, my TIMS coordinator and I kind of sit down and looked at each student and put them on a map. It's very challenging to pick them up, but I have 4 credits, which means I can go to DPI and get 4 different buses, or they can give me 4 buses at no cost. I run them out to the end of their life, and they get replaced with a new bus. So we're looking at that, potentially adding 3 to 4 buses to just pick up our EC students. The problem is, you may have a student who lives in Sheffield, let's say my daughter's EC, and I have to transport her to Shady Grove for the best program for her. So the challenge is picking up a kid in Sheffield and then getting them across the county. It's going to be extremely hard in a bus, at 45 miles an hour. And then we have a board policy that also states that we can only be on a ride time of 90 minutes. And so you can't transport EC students any longer than you do your regular ed. So it's going to be quite a challenge, but that's what we're looking at right now.
And when we talk about the yellow buses, that would be specific, that would be, not be our traditional yellow buses, meaning with non-serviced kids, if that's the right way to say that. Those 3 routes that Mr. Miller mentioned, that we're looking at 3 routes, would cover primarily just our EC children, what the Wavetti vans are covering now. But now, again, we would not be able to service the children that are wheelchair-bound on a regular bus.
Which is about 5 students.
Yeah.
Well, I have complete confidence that you guys will do what's best for our children first, and then hopefully we'll be able to continue to find money to pay this. But it's hard to manage your budget in the middle of the year when you don't know about it until you've already spent the money.
We expressed that. And if you saw the Journal today or yesterday, I think it's today, where Forsyth County parents are standing on their head because I think they're 46 drivers short a day. So it's quite the problem across the state.
I move that we support the recommendation of staff for the remainder of this year to pay the Wavetti contract as proposed.
Have a motion. Have a second? Have a second by Mr. Drexler. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next item on the agenda is Debbie County High School 2019 graduation rate, and back to Jeff Wallace.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board like to propose that we set the graduation date. I looked in my crystal ball, and I am ready and confident, ready to set it for June 8th, 8:30 at War Eagle Stadium. Well, typically, Terry, what we would do is we would try to hold out and maybe do it that afternoon if we could, but if not, you always wait until the next day. Yes, sir. And we typically try to, I've been in that boat before, you've been with me, and kids say, we're here, let's do it. So some parents didn't like it, but we did it. That's exactly right.
We would have it on that day at that time unless it was an electrical storm. Seriously, students want to graduate that morning then, and they don't, they're not real happy if you change it. One time, since I was superintendent in this district, we had to move inside, and we moved it into the small gym at the old Davie County High School, and it was interesting, and we made it, but that's the only time. The rest of it was outside. But they're going to want to, and we will have it outside unless it's an electrical storm, and then we'll make them angry to schedule another time, but we'll have it that day.
I'll say there's no way it's going to rain. Couldn't possibly.
Not around here.
think we've hit our quota. I'm sorry, I still had money on my mind. I said graduation rate. Entertain a motion. A motion by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Drexler. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Last item C under business is the audit contract, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Steed.
We have used the same auditing firm as we were proposing for the last 8 years. To be frank, there are very few auditing firms in our area that do this kind of work. And 2 or 3 in this area, 3 maybe, we've used 2 of them in the past several years. But the one that we're proposing tonight is one that again, I said, has been 8 years at least. The reason, frankly, we used them is the staff was very happy with their work. They were good with the staff to go, and I know that's important to a bookkeeping staff, is that they can come in and sort of be non-in the way, non-seen, and get the work done and work closely with the staff, and nobody sometimes knows they're there. They've done well. They've done that job well over the last few years. The staff says they're a pleasure to work with, and we wanted to keep it that way. One of the things that is the real issue that prompted our recommendation to you, frankly, is that you have an interim superintendent, as you well know, and you have an interim finance officer, as you well know. Now, the finance officer has a lot more credibility than the superintendent. Let me assure you that when Tammy Naylor knows what she's talking about, we just felt like it was the best move to make, considering the fact you have 2 interims in these positions. If you want to look at it again, I've never heard, other than a comment that somebody made, that somebody recommended it ought to be every 3 to 5 years. I don't know why you would do that, to be honest. If you've got somebody that does a good job, you're happy with them, why not stay with them? And that's the recommendation that we would make to you. So I think, come next year this time, number one, if we wanted to change, other than, we wouldn't have time to put one out for bids at this time of the year. We have to go with it basically this year. But if you choose to change, you'll need to give it more time in the future.
Well, I think for the past 2 years, and I've been here, so I've been part of that audit, and you're dead on the money as far as the clerical people have been very pleased. We've heard that comment every year, or at least since I've been here. So, with a timeline that we're approaching that doesn't allow the time to get someone else, if we chose to do that, why not just go ahead and say we're going to do with what we've got?
One point I did not make is that, and it's basically the same money. For the past 8 years, it's been about the same fee.
Yes.
So they've not tried to go up and
Right.
up and up and up like some firms do. Some firms
I noted
come in.
that.
Some firms come in and they will bid on business, not necessarily only audit firms, but some they'll come in and bid low, and then they'll make it up in the next few years. This crowd has not done that,
Yeah.
and again, that was the reason we were going to recommend that this crowd do that.
Last but not least, I think it's important to remember that last year, when they briefed us on the result of that, I asked for that brief for telephone number and personal address, in case we needed to hunt them down after the fact. So we still got that.
Any other questions? I will entertain a motion. Have a motion by Mr. Drexler. Second. Second by Colonel Hales. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Next item, not sure if we have much public left, but public address to the board.
You do not have anyone waiting to speak with you until you get home.
Next, committee staff reports, calendar flexibility. Jeff Wallace, you're getting a lot of mic time.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Board, I had shared with you, we're monitoring the calendar flexibility legislation, and I want to provide you with a brief update, and then I want to show you a visual. Eddie, don't bring up the visual yet. Okay. It speaks for itself, but just give me just a moment. Thank you, Eddie. We're trying to do our timing right. Representative Howard, as you know, proposed a local bill. We also are part of, Davie County is one of the 22 counties, a part of House Bill 117 that would allow us to be a part of a pilot program for the next 3 years. The one thing I do like about it, a couple things I like about it, one is for flexibility, and it talks about us allowing us to start school closer to August the 10th. It doesn't lock us into or the Monday closest to August 10th or something of that nature, but it also has language in it about allowing us flexibility to get exams completed before Christmas. Again, that is, and another good piece of that, as we've talked about and kind of caused a little bit of angst here, was that bill is, the pilot bill would be for 3 years, but you can start either next year or the following year, which we've already pretty much talked about not changing our calendar start of 1920. But again, your 3-year pilot, which could start the following year. And I told you about, we hope there's a lot of traction around calendar flexibility. So if you'll pull up the map now, and I want you to see how many counties have proposed. Okay, there we go. So anything in color other than white, there are at least 80 LEAs that have of the 115 that have asked for flexibility. And if you notice in our area, Yadkin and Wilkes already have a different calendar of 160 to 65 to 70 days. But you can, that 22 calendar area or 22 county area is somewhat around us. And I also want to bring up something very interesting too. We continue to hear about this pack called Save Our Summers, and that's the folks toward the beach area. But look how far east there's some color. I think it's very interesting that counties on the East Coast have asked for flexibility, and that supposedly is what it was. But part of the pilot is for we would have to report out about academic performance by exams ending. Also, there would be an analysis of economic impact, to see if there truly is any impact on our economy. Now, that wouldn't necessarily be our responsibility, but would be part of the pilot as well. So just there's your update, and I'll be glad to entertain any questions. Yes, sir, Dr. Steve.
Let me add also, you probably saw the editorial that was in the journal it's probably last week, basically taking this information and saying, well, maybe it's time to give the schools some flexibility on that. And finally, we got the support of a major newspaper, which is good. I never quite understood about the saving the summer, why you couldn't start summer in June as easily as you can in August. I mean, why do you have to have August? You know, if I'm getting out of school, and if I've got a family and we're getting out of school in May, I can go to the beach just as easily in June as I can wait till the end of August. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, never has. I've never gotten any answer from any of the people that make those laws yet. But anyway, we feel positive about it. At the same time, it's nowhere near finished. It's in committee, so we'll wait to see how it goes. And maybe we're finally getting the word again, and we can get back into the business. And again, the primary interest is having our exams before Christmas.
And as we discussed maybe last month, we've already decided as a group that we would not change the calendar for the next full school year anyway. So waiting on what Raleigh's going to do and not do, it's not going to hurt us with an emergency need to make a decision right away.
Mr. Drexler, you're absolutely right. And another point, I want to make a couple points. I want to thank again Representative Howard for her taking a stand and introducing a local bill for us. I also want to make sure, as we've had some conversations about, and Mr. Davis and the curriculum department are working with the community colleges, and we're seeing more of our students taking college career prep classes on the community college campus, because those classes now count as an advanced placement class. It gets the same weight, if you will, in your GPA as does one of those classes. So what that does, it potentially gives us more opportunities for kids, for our students. But they need to be able to align, our calendars for sure need to be able to start when community colleges start. So those are some vital pieces of that. And Mr. Nicholson will tell you he would love to have his kids in school before they play their first 2 football games. Because once kids get in school, our revenues go up. And I'm kind of being tongue-in-cheek there, but that's a fact. That really impacts your gate. So we typically play 2 football games before school ever opens, and volleyball matches and soccer matches. So.
Thank you. Last item on the agenda is adjournment, and before we did, I probably should have done this while we had a packed house, but just an update on the superintendent search. We as a group have been meeting the last couple of days and getting through our first rounds of interviews, and again, I want to thank as many staff members of the whole school system. Thank you for putting us on the map. We got a lot of great applicants, and it's because we're on the map for a lot of good things, and it's the whole team effort. I've spent 2 days with this group of people, and what a phenomenal group of people to spend time with. That we have a common goal. Doesn't mean we agree on every little thing, but we have a common goal. It's really, it's awesome. So thank you guys for that. Well, we'll say that we told Dr. Steed that we should, 12 to 18 months, we should have someone in here. And I say that jokingly, but also reminded how thankful we are for Dr. Steed to step in here and doing as great as he is, and same with Tammy Naylor as well, choosing to serve this community. So thank you guys again for that. With that. Yeah, absolutely. We'll try our hardest to get it by 2022. I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Yeah, that's right. God, we want to get away from each other. I have a motion by Ms. Smith, I have a second by Mr. Potts. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.